This is a book about a group of children whom I've come to know during their early years of life. Not in the infant years, but in the ones just after, when they start to go to school and start to poke around into the world and figure out what possibilities for hope and happiness it holds. Most of these children live within a section of the South Bronx called Mott Haven, which, for much of the past decade, was the nation's epicenter for the plague of pediatric and maternal AIDS, and remains one of the centers of an epidemic of adult and pediatric asthma that has swept across the inner-city populations of our nation in these years. Some of these stories take place at an elementary school called PS 30 and some other public schools nearby. Others take place at a church, St. Anne's of Morrisania, which is Episcopalian and runs an after-school for children in the neighborhood, including Tabitha and many of her friends from PS 30. All of these children are black or Hispanic. All are very poor. Statistics tell us they are the poorest children in New York. Some know hunger several times a month. Many have respiratory problems. Most have lost a relative or several relatives to AIDS. Some have previously lived in homeless shelters. A large number see their fathers only when they visit them in prison. It is honest to observe, as well, that the community in which they live is one of the most deeply segregated concentrations of black and Hispanic people in our nation, with less than 0.2% of school enrollment in Mott Haven represented by Caucasian children, and that racial isolation here, as elsewhere in our nation, is accompanied by inequalities in education and high rates of joblessness. Economic progress in some sections of New York has been impressive in the past 10 years, and some of the consequences have been seen in even the most destitute communities of the South Bronx, but only to a very limited degree in this immediate community. Unemployment in the South Bronx overall remains at over 45%, according to the New York Times. It rises in the neighborhood served by St. Anne's to over 75%, according to the pastor of the church and teachers in the local schools. I hope, however, that this book is neither bitter nor despairing, because despair and bitterness are not the words that ordinarily come to your mind when you spend time with children here. They live, admittedly, in what is known as a bad section of a racially divided city, but they live as well within the miniature and often healing world that children of their age inhabit everywhere in the United States. Statistical curses, dangerous words like AIDS, incarceration, needle drugs, deficient school performance stand around them like unfriendly social scientists with cold prophetic powers. But the actual kingdom that they live in for a good part of each day is not the land of bad statistics, but the land of licorice sticks and long division, candy bars and pencil sets, and Elmo dolls, and, in the period in which this book takes place, bewildering computer toys called gigapets that make a squeaking sound and are the bane of their school teachers. Their minor adversaries in the course of any average day are frequently mechanical or school-related. Problematic pencil sharpeners, for instance, that devour pencils but don't sharpen them. Intimidating spelling tests, an overused and gummy pink eraser that does not erase the pencil marks but leaves a big unsightly smudge. An irritable teacher, a stubbornly resistant half-pint milk container that will not cooperate with children's fingers and refuses to become unstuck. They wave at you covertly when you're visiting their school and walk into their classroom. They write each other notes you're not supposed to see. They miss their fathers. They get sick. Things frighten them. They cry, and when you kneel to comfort them, they tell you, "It's my birthday in 2 weeks." They love their mothers. They pray for their grandmothers. They talk to animals. They make up stories. If you have a dog, they want to know its name. I've known this group of children for a long time and have written of their neighborhood and other South Bronx neighborhoods before, first in a book on urban schools called Savage Inequalities, then in a book about the medical and social problems of the South Bronx called Amazing Grace. Both were painful books to write and, readers say, painful to read. I came away from working on these books with deep discouragement about the social policies that shape conditions of existence for these children, but renewed respect for their tenacity and courage, and a sense of fascination and delight in the particulars of their emerging personalities. In the discipline of writing books, however, I had never had much opportunity to get to know the children in